So in 1981, the legendary reggae singer Bob Marley died from acral lentiginous melanoma, a type of skin cancer. Dr. Jonathan Ho, lecturer, consultant dermatologist, and dermatopathologist at UA Hospital, is here to help us learn about this cancer. I don't know why the doctor
said that.
Give me them big words so early in the morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Once again, good to see you.
Good to see
What's your
you.
favorite Bob Marley?
I think War is my favorite. No, I can sing it, but only for 50% share in RJR. So you can promise me that.
50%?
Wow, such bargaining.
Valuable voice.
Whoa. All right, so let's stick to what we can afford, which is the discussion. What is it acral lentiginous melanoma?
Sure, you can say acral or acral lentiginous melanoma.
Okay.
And it's a type of skin cancer, and it arises from the cells that give our skin color. And so most of us probably think about melanoma like, sun-related. You go into the sun, you get a dark spot. But acral lentiginous melanoma occurs more on the palms, soles, and under the nails. And as far as we know, it doesn't have an association with sun exposure. We don't really know why it happens, but it's a deadly cancer when it occurs, if it's not caught early,
What is early?
Good. So early has to do with when we biopsy, take a little piece, how deep it has gone in the skin. So if it's very superficial and you cut it out, curative. If it's very deep, then the chance of it having spread or going to spread to the lymph nodes or to other organs is much higher. So we measure it, and it just depends on that number. But honestly, if you catch it when it's very superficial, before it has deeply invaded or gone deep into the skin, curative with excision, cutting it out,
I've been hearing for years that had Mr. Marley taken off his toe, then he would have been fine.
Possibly. Certainly would have given him a better chance. But, I don't know all the details of how deep in it. And in those days, some of the things we now know about how to treat melanoma, were not known then.
At that time.
And treatments were not available except for surgery at that time.
How would you identify that?
So the most important thing, or the most common way it presents, is a new or changing dark spot on the palms, sole, or under the nails. So, most of us have a few little spots, but if they've been there forever, from childhood, not changing, by changing I mean if it was round, now the edge getting a little irregular, or one half look a little bit different from the other half, or it starts to bleed, anything like that, the color starts to change, go and see a doctor, and probably a dermatologist right away. Because I think in general, we can pick it up and we look at it, and in a couple of seconds, we're like, this one needs to be sampled, this one is okay, so on.
Because that's one of the things about it. I'm guessing it doesn't come with any kind of discomfort.
Until it's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
One of the areas, and I think probably for Bob as well, the ones under the nails can start as dark lines. So, a lot of us have dark lines in the nails. If they've been there for a long time, if they're in all the nails, probably okay. But if it's a new one and you're an adult, even if it is not a cancer, get somebody to look at it, because a lot of those get missed. And as you say, if it's early, we can cure it. If it's late, it's harder to cure.
You've already said that you're not too certain what was going on then, so this question might be just kind of crazy, but would the doctors at the time pick up that this is cancer?
Yeah, I believe so. I've done a little bit of reading into his, and I believe the first person who saw it, having removed the nail, sort of didn't sample it. But the very second doctor who saw it immediately said, yes, this is melanoma, or very likely to be melanoma, and sampled it, and the diagnosis was then confirmed.
And from what your readings, when that was diagnosed, would it have been too late already?
We didn't get the details in terms of the depth of the melanoma, but chances are if it had just come up, then it's a good chance that amputation could have saved his life. And by amputation, just removal of the toe,
Just the toe? Just the big toe. You're not talking about cutting off the foot.
No, and I say could have, because we don't know.
It still doesn't have the full details of what would happen. Is it, well, let me rephrase that. Where is it most prevalent? Is there a geography that makes it prevalent, or a race?
Yes, so it depends on the type of melanoma. So generally, melanomas on a whole are more common in lightly pigmented people whose skin color is light, so Caucasian people. But acral lentiginous is much, much more common in persons of African ancestry, so, and Hispanic persons as well as Asians. But in that order, so black persons first, then Hispanic persons and Asian persons below.
Let me stay with that word prevalence. How prevalent is it overall?
We don't know the full prevalence data because, and this comes back kind of to why I like War as a song.
Yep.
Just when we think about disparities, we don't have a lot of that data coming out of countries where you have a lot of persons of African descent.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, what we know, we just completed a small study at university over the last maybe 5 to 7 years. We have seen maybe about 150 of them, which doesn't sound like a lot. But that's just one center, and think about all the people in Jamaica who are undiagnosed, and daily we're adding to that number.
Yeah, it seems strange that we're talking to a dermatologist about cancer.
Yeah.
Is that strange?
No. So, I think many of us think of derm, and rightly so. We do acne, we do eczema, but a big part of what we do is skin cancer. And I don't think there's any other specialty who is better at diagnosing skin cancer. So even if in the end you end up going to a surgeon or you end up going to an oncologist for the final treatment, diagnostically, there's nobody better
Than a dermatologist?
than a dermatologist.
Learning something.
When we look at other types of cancer, when we say it's advanced or it's spread, I think for the most part we can identify areas in the body that it would be most prevalent. For melanoma, when it starts spreading, is there particular areas that become affected?
The first area to be affected are those lymph nodes, those glands. People talk about wax and can, so those glands closest to where the original melanoma is the first place it spreads.
Okay.
After that, common places will be like lung, liver, and brain. But by that time, it's often late.
It's advanced.
You've already said that you're not certain of the prevalence, but how often have you seen patients?
So we see a fair number. Even yesterday, we had a patient with, unfortunately, pretty advanced melanoma, but kind of skewed because between myself and another doctor, Dr. Stephanie Smith-Matthews, we run a skin cancer clinic at University of the West Indies, so we see a little bit more probably. So
that person yesterday will be saved?
Hopeful, hopeful.
Wow. I have, to be fair, I've never heard of anyone else having what I heard Bob Marley had.
Yeah.
And this is from 1981.
The truth is, a lot of times especially for acral lentiginous. So we also did some work just kind of surveying people. 55% of Jamaicans had never heard the word melanoma. And even those who had heard of it, only a small percentage knew anything about, they were talking about sunblock, which is true in general for melanoma, but it won't help you with acral lentiginous melanoma, which is where, people in Jamaica are most likely to get it.
No, and how often do you look at the soles of your feet?
This is the problem.
Yeah.
And when you diagnose it, people don't want the surgery. They're afraid for their movement and their livelihood, but honestly, life over limb, that's what we say.
But Delia's point earlier about the discomfort.
Yes.
You can't really have it. I don't even feel no pain or anything.
For the early part. And, one of the not good things, but you do have a little bit of time with this. So when it first starts up, it tends to grow a little bit out before it grows down. But you have to be examining. So I think one of the key things is every 3 months, 6 months, look at your palms, look at your soles, look at your nails. Maybe nowadays everybody have a smartphone. Take pictures. And you can say, that was definitely not there 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Go and get it checked out. Save a life.
I don't know if we even asked the question before. What causes it?
We don't fully know. We know there's some genes that are mutated, and we think trauma may play a role for acral lentiginous.
Right.
Because maybe about a quarter of patients who develop it know 10 years ago, I got a nail at that exact area.
Okay.
And that's true not just for our studies, but for Asian studies.
Well, that's the kind of trauma you're talking about.
Yes. Major trauma usually.
I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to get your nails done, your pedicure, we don't look at nails. They take off the polish goes on. You'll never see the nail. So hello, manicurists.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, we never see the nail. So, but the manicurists do.
They do.
So if you see changes in your client, if you take nothing from this interview, it's to say to the client, I've noticed this and something might be wrong.
Well explained, Dr. Jonathan. Thanks again for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
All the very best.
Take care.
All right, so let's go through them big words again. Lecturer, consultant, dermatologist,
And
dermatopathologist at UA Hospital. Jonathan, don't come back so early in the morning.
3 little birds. It's going to be all right.
You're ready to sing? I'll give you 10%.
I'm looking for the percentage.
No, I'll give you 10% of the company. That's it. 10 minutes to your health. We do this every Thursday.
Little darling, steer